So, just like nature has seasons, like spring and summer and fall, first winter, second winter, third winter, the winter of our discontent. Just like nature has seasons, the church has seasons. And we just finished Epiphany, the season of light. It started way back just after Christmas with the story of the Magi and the star, and concluded last week with the Transfiguration story, the story of the divine light of Jesus being revealed. That's all a fancy way of saying that whole time of Epiphany, that season, is about finding the light that's not only in Jesus, but in you and me. It's the light which is the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of God, which is in all things, including you and me. And now we come to the season of Lent, which the word Lent actually comes from a word, it comes from a word that in some languages means lengthening, like the lengthening of days, and in some cultures actually means spring. It's the time of spring. And we tend to kind of frame it in the church as something that's dark and cold and barren, which is too bad. Because isn't it interesting how Epiphany is all about light, and it's in the winter? Well, it's in second, third, and fourth winters, anyway. It's in the winter, and the season of Lent seems to be about like cold and darkness and stuff, and it's in the season of spring, the season of new life. What if Lent was a time for us to be working on ourselves, to be wondering about ourselves, to discover more about ourselves, but maybe not kind of in the darkness, but in the light that we've just been talking about for the last 8 weeks, 7 weeks? Epiphany was long this year. The story that begins the season of Lent is the story of Jesus going into the wilderness basically to find himself, to wonder about himself. And we've somehow taken that as a way of seeing the wilderness as a place. Wilderness is a place to be alone, which is fine, except for one thing. The story begins, full of the Holy Spirit, Jesus went into the wilderness. In fact, the story ends, full of the Holy Spirit, Jesus went on into ministry. You're full of it too, the Holy Spirit. You are. And so this Lent, more than anything else, remember that you're not alone. In fact, in life, in death, in life beyond death, God is with us. We are not alone. It's part of the United Church Creed. It's part of the statement that we make about ourselves, our statement of faith. This Lent, maybe let's think of it as a season of new life. A season in which we can take all of that light and we can do something with it. Because wherever we go, however you see your wilderness, however you see that place where you go to be by yourself, you're not alone. The Spirit is there. It's the Spirit that in that alone time helps us wonder and think about ourselves and who we are. That's what Lent's all about. For the next 5 weeks, we're going to talk about that. We're going to work on that. We'll talk about it differently.